Hi everyone, I'm Alistair Ben, you're watching Expressive Photography and welcome to the second episode of What Makes This Image Great. I was very encouraged by all the comments of positive comments from last week's video, from the first episode of this. And for the second one, I've reached out to another good friend of mine, Jennifer Renwick. All of the images that I'm choosing are ones that are kind of coming to me fresh. You know, they're new images, there's things I haven't seen before. And even though it's mostly friends of mine that I follow their work, this one really struck me as an incredibly powerful photograph. And when I emailed Jen about it, she sent me the photograph and was very happy that I was going to be showcasing her work here, because she's an amazing photographer and everyone has to click on the link below to go and support Jennifer and her work. So more of that later. But she wrote a story about this photograph. And what I want to do is I want to go through my own analysis first, and then at the end of the video I'm actually going to read you an excerpt from the email that she sent to me, which is about what this photograph means to her. So make sure that you hang on till the end of this video to hear Jennifer's incredibly powerful message about her own photograph. But for now, let's just dive in and see what I think about it. Now, one of the key things on this photograph is I'm showing it against a black background. Because it's a vertical photograph, on a video it takes up only a small part of the frame. So I've covered the background in black, and later on we're going to look at what happens when we look at it on a white background. So the impact of the background and the context that the photograph is being displayed on change the feel of the photograph. Now, my relationship with photographs is very much feel. You know, I see something and I feel something. I've developed this openness to experiencing emotions and experiencing feelings. And obviously when I saw this photograph, it is such a powerful thing. Now, of course, the sandstone canyons of the American West are very alien to me. We don't have landscapes like this in the west of Scotland. So instantly that big wall at the back, glowing and resplendent, you know, this beautiful surface just makes my fingers itch as an ex-climber. But it's the shadows that are being projected onto it that hold the secret to why this photograph is great. A shadow is a metaphor. The subject is more real. So a photograph of trees looking through this canyon would be far more literal. The fact it's a shadow makes it diffused. It makes it almost like a spirit, you know, some sort of sprite, a ghost, a shadow. You know, we use these words almost like synonyms. And this is what I felt when I saw this. It was like shadows through the canyon, and there was a very spiritual and atmospheric feel to the image. Now, there's some fairly classic conventions that are used in this photograph, but they're not compositional as such. They're more thematic. And the canyon walls that are on the left and the right hand side, so here and here, those two canyon walls are the frame. So they bring the frame closer. Traditionally, we have the frame edges of a photograph, which are, you know, literally the thing. The print on the wall, whatever it may be, has a frame. And the edges of that frame define the edge of the content. But by bringing the canyon walls tight and close, the actual meat of this photograph is only that very thin sliver in the middle. So it feels compressed. It feels like pressure. It feels as if the spirits or the ghosts are being further pressurized by the canyon walls. And it makes it, it's quite curious because it can feel somewhat claustrophobic, but at the same time, that light is the ray of hope. This is Jennifer's smile when she's enthusiastic about something. I know Jennifer quite well, and her face lights up when she gets passionate when she's talking about something. And this makes me feel like that. This section here, this beautiful warm cliff that's just radiant in, I'm imagining evening sunlight or something like that. And then this cold tones of that heavily polished surface as well, where that surface has just been absolutely smoothed by the passage of water, I would imagine. Probably about, during the last ice age, this would have just been a raging torrent of water, and this surface would have been polished by all that water. So it's actually a very straightforward photograph in many ways. It's got the two canyon walls compressing the main focus of the photograph, which is this area here. That one silhouetted shadow with the blue, the cool space, the cool shadows. Something we talked an awful lot about last week with Neil Burnell's photograph was the transitions in the photograph. So we have transitions here from dark to light. We have coolness to warmth, both in this direction and in this direction. So we have transitions from dark to light, from cool to warm. We also have texture to diffused. We've got all sorts of different transitions that are working in this photograph, and it makes it feel engaging. You can't stop looking at it when you start. Now, when we have it against a black background, the black of the background is very dominant. It sucks. We don't see it because it's black. And what it does is it projects the photograph very heavily on the screen. If I change this to a white background, instantly the photograph itself becomes more mysterious. It has a darker feel because all of a sudden you can see if I flip back, so this is the white background, this is the black background, all the canyon edges are very explicit here because they stand out against the black background. In this, they seem to recede, they seem to become darker. And what that does also is the impact of this bright patch becomes less. All of a sudden, we've got these two incredibly luminous panels of light on the monitor there that are brighter than this. White is typically going to be brighter than any other pixel on a screen in a photograph there because you don't want to clip them. These are essentially clipped, these are not. So when you look at your work on a white background, this is where it has a very different feel. It feels more mysterious, it feels a little bit more ominous. The contrast feels like it's been reduced slightly, so it takes on a slightly more otherworldly feel to it. If we were going to continue this exercise with mid-tone grey, maybe 18% grey background, like you might work in Photoshop or something like that, we would have a different relationship again with it. And I think this is a really important learning point for anyone watching this video, which is your photograph will change depending how it is viewed. It depends on the brightness of the person's screen, whether it's on a phone or a tablet or a computer, whether it's on a calibrated monitor or an uncalibrated monitor. They're always going to feel different. And all you can really do is satisfy yourself so that your photograph is processed in a way that it emphasizes and articulates your metaphor, your feelings, your expression. So I've actually asked Jennifer if I can buy a print of this photograph from her because I would just love to have it on the wall in the house somewhere. It really struck me as a powerful and meaningful photograph. Now, I know everything that Jennifer does is powerful and meaningful. She's an incredible photographer and someone who I admire immensely. And what I want to do is I'm just going to grab the email that she sent to me and I will read out what she said. So Jennifer said this: I captured that photo after losing a year financially after COVID. We were all sent to jump into our winter workshops to recover, and then those were cancelled too due to California's restrictions. We were heartbroken, scared, and super stressed. After sitting at home for 2 months dealing with an ulcer caused by my depression and anxiety, we escaped into the desert to find ourselves and to heal, to start fresh and pick ourselves back up. I was wandering through the canyon and caught glimpses of those shadows as the sun faded in and out of the clouds. It was a quick moment, but so powerful to me. Immediately, the shadows reminded me of ghosts, and perhaps my ghosts, feelings of failure and doubt hanging over my shoulder from the past year. I captured the image and watched them disappear, realizing that I too had to let those feelings go in order to move on. Now, I feel blessed to read those words and to have friends that can articulate themselves so powerfully and so expressively. And I think it's an important lesson for anybody who's watching this, is that your photographs are a snapshot of a moment in your life where you're engaging with the world, and somehow I think our best photographs, our most meaningful photographs, and our most meaningful time in life is when we see the connection between ourselves and a landscape, or ourselves and another person, or ourselves and a piece of music. When we resonate with the world and the art that we create, it is a very healing thing. We suddenly see ourselves as more than just this shell walking around the world, trying to make a living and trying to, fit in somehow. I think photography as a creative and expressive art is more than just making pretty photographs. This is a photograph of suffering. This is a photograph of pain. This is a photograph of depression and anxiety. But it's still beautiful because it brings hope. This is, in my opinion, what makes this photograph great. It represents so much more than just the shadow of trees in a canyon. This is a life being expressed through art. And I'd like to thank Jennifer publicly, and of course always privately, for the work that she does bring into the world with a sensitive and open soul. That's it for this week. This is another, I've enjoyed this very much, and I hope you've had some value out of it too. Please click on the link below and check out Jennifer's work. Truly amazing artist, and the work she does with her partner David Kingham, running the Nature Photographers Forum, and of course the workshops that they run are well worth checking out. A little bit of a sneak peek preview. I will be joining Jennifer and David next October in Colorado to run a joint workshop when we're going to be over in the States for a couple of months next year. So hold tight for an announcement on that, because I think it's going to sell out pretty fast. If you didn't check out my new ebook last week, in last week's video, then please click on that link as well. My new book's Creativity Superpowers, where I look at how to make unique and meaningful compositions, or how you can make unique and meaningful compositions, is out now and available. And of course, as a subscriber to the channel, you are welcome to get a 15% discount. So please click on that link also. Apart from that, that's it for this week. I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks, so that might be a little bit quiet on here until near the end of November. But thank you very much, and take care wherever you are. Bye for now.